What's up, horror and Halloween lovers? The Satanic Panic was a period of moral panic during the 1980s and early 90s in which many people thought Satanism and ritualistic abuse were on the rise, influencing and corrupting people through pop culture like movies, heavy metal music, and even role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons. While there was supposedly little to no actual instances or evidence to validate the panic, there was the case of Ricky Kasso, also known as the Acid King, who some say was an example of that influence gone horribly wrong. So Kasso was born to a typical suburban family on Long Island, New York, but he was known as being a problem child. He was known as he was known for getting into a lot of trouble. And this caused him to be kicked out of his house multiple times by his parents, to where he took to basically living on the streets. He would shack up with friends in their houses or in their backyards if their parents wouldn't allow him to stay, or living in their garages, or even started sleeping in the woods. He became known as the Acid King, not only for taking drugs, but also for selling drugs when he started hanging out with a group of people who called themselves the Knights of the Black Circle, who he also performed occult rituals with, and they even celebrated Walpurgis Night in the Amityville Horror House in 1984. He was arrested. His first arrest came for digging into a colonial era grave, and he contracted pneumonia shortly after that, to where he was admitted to a hospital. When he was in the hospital, his parents did try to have him committed for involuntary psychiatric care, and doctors said that he exhibited antisocial behavior, but that he wasn't psychotic or a violent danger, and he was released. But it was the murder of Kasso's friend Gary Lauwers that this case is about, really. And Gary stole 10 bags of PCP from Kasso at a party one night, and when Kasso confronted him about it, Gary returned 5 of the bags that he stole and said that he would give him $50 for the other 5 that he had already used. Kasso beat Gary on about 4 separate occasions, but still remained friends with him. He invited Gary and 2 other friends of his, Jimmy Troiano and Albert Quinones, to get high with him in Cow Harbor Park. And from there, they went into the Aztecia Woods, where they tried to set up camp and make a fire. The fire didn't take. The wood was too wet. So Gary tried to use his socks and pieces of his jacket to try to make the fire light. And during all this going on, Kasso and Lauwers eventually got into some kind of scuffle, some altercation, and Kasso bit Lauwers on the neck. He also stabbed him in the chest. He continued stabbing him between 17 and 36 times. He even cutting out his eyes. Quinones testified that Troiano did hold Lauwers down while Kasso stabbed him. And during the attack, Kasso commanded Lauwers to say you love Satan, to which Lauwers replied, I love my mother. After the attack, Kasso and Troiano covered Lauwers' body with weeds and branches, and they left it in the woods. In the days that followed, Kasso bragged to many people, other friends and other people, that about the murder. He claimed that Satan manifested himself in the form of a black crow, and he cawed, and he interpreted this as Satan's approval of the murder. He brought some of the people who didn't believe him about the murder to the site to show them the body, which by then was already decomposing. And he and Troiano returned to the woods to bury the remains in a shallow grave. It wasn't until 2 weeks later, until 2 weeks went by, that on July 1st, that the murder was reported to the police by an anonymous tip. On July 4th in 1984, the police used dogs to search the woods, and they found the remains of Gary Lauwers decomposing. And Kasso and Troiano were arrested the next day. On July 7th, Kasso took his own life by hanging himself in his jail cell. Troiano signed 2 confessions that he later recanted. Quinones gave witness account that Troiano helped Kasso hold him down, but he later recanted that statement as well. And due to his drugged state, his testimony was brought into question, and they were both acquitted of second-degree murder. Kasso's case gained national attention and became a sensation because of the torture and the supposed occult aspects of the murder, which took place at the height of the Satanic Panic.